Hello. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey y'all, welcome to the Collide Kids podcast and Merry Christmas. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. It means so much to me that you are here today. Thank you so much for being here and listening. If this is your first time listening, I hope you really enjoy this and you keep coming back. Don't forget to listen to the end of every episode. That's where we have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast. Well, it's December and I couldn't be happier to kick off this Christmas season by talking about one of my favorite mission organizations, Operation Christmas Child. You might have seen the red and green boxes before or heard about this ministry at your church or school, but in case you haven't, let me tell you a little bit about this amazing organization. The mission of Operation Christmas Child is to demonstrate God's love in a tangible way to children in need around the world. Through this project, Samaritan's Purse partners with the local churches worldwide to share the good news of Jesus Christ and make disciples of the nations. The shoeboxes are filled with toys, books, essential items like toothbrushes and socks, and school supplies. And they deliver not only the joy of what for many kids is their very first gift ever, but also gives them a tangible expression of God's love. If you have ever packed a shoebox before or volunteered or given to this ministry in some way, you are going to be so inspired and blessed by this episode today as we talk with a person whose life was impacted by Operation Christmas Child. My guest today is Irina Creek. Irina was born into a broken family in the former Soviet Union. After being abandoned by addiction-riddled parents at the age of 4, Irina was moved into an orphanage. She remained hopeful of a reunion with her family, but the years passed, and after frequent abuse, she was eventually moved to a new orphanage. When Irina was 10 years old, a missionary group gave the orphanage children Operation Christmas Child shoebox gifts. Through her gift, Irina was touched by the message of God's love. A year later, her prayer of adoption was answered by a family in South Carolina. She now lives in North Carolina with her husband and 2 children. It was so wonderful to meet Irina and hear her incredible story, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So here is my conversation with Irina Creek. Irina, thank you so much for being on the Collide Kids podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be with you.
Yeah, this is so much fun. So Operation Christmas Child is one of my favorite organizations, and I've been a part of it for many years with my church and served in different ways. So you are a part of Operation Christmas Child, and that's why I'm so excited to talk to you today. Will you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Irina Creek, but I used to go by Stepanova Irina Vladimirovna when I was growing up, because I grew up in a country that was far from here. It was part of the Soviet Union, which has broken up since, and I can't say specifically which country I am from, but I can say that today I live in Boone, North Carolina, and it is cold here today. Yeah, and I have 2 children, a 5-year-old and a 6-month-old baby, and my husband teaches at a university.
Very cool. I think that's awesome. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you today, and I love that you're going to share your story about Operation Christmas Child. But before we do that, because this is a podcast for kids, we always like to share a joke at the beginning. So do you have a joke you want to share with us?
Okay, I have a joke that's from my son that he told me, and I thought it was hilarious. So he says, so how do birds learn to fly? Do you know?
No.
Well, they just wing it.
That's good. They just wing it. I mean, that's great. I love that. Good job. What's your son's name?
Peter.
Peter. Very good, Peter. That was a good joke. I like that. Well, Irina, let's go into your story because I'd love to know a little bit about your background. I know you said you can't tell us the country, but tell us a little bit about what it was like to grow up
Well, it was tough because we were very poor. I was born into a family of three girls, and I was the youngest of them all, but I only lived with my middle sister, Katya. And my parents had a lot of problems. They struggled with the alcohol addiction, which was tough on all of us, especially when my dad would become different. He would just get frustrated easily and get into fights with people. And that made him to go to jail several times. So he wasn't at home taking care of us. And a lot of times we were actually completely alone. And my middle sister was the one who was taking care of me. And she wasn't but a year and a half older. So, for example, one night she was taking care of me and we were waiting for our mom to come back. She was about 6 years old and I was 4.5. And she was looking out into the window and she said, I have this feeling that our mom is never coming back. And to this day, we don't know what happened to her, but we never did see her again.
Wow.
And that was tough. And from there, we were taken to an orphanage system. And it went basically from bad to worse. We were not hungry anymore. That was good. But the teachers were very harsh in the way they disciplined us and the way they talked to us. That was challenging. I remember crying and feeling lonely because it was just the kind of place that you didn't feel like you had anybody that you could trust or talk to. And the rest of the children were also afraid of the teachers, and they didn't even play normally. I remember asking them, come play with me. And they didn't want to move unless the teacher said it's okay to come and play with a particular child, because everything was so controlled in that place. It was difficult to even do the most basic things like go into the bathroom. We all had to go to the bathroom together. In the line, we would go, and then we would have the doors opened, and the children would go one by one in front of the whole group. And it was just really embarrassing. And they would just try to make you go faster. And with all that pressure, it was just hard, And I remember one night I was laying in my bed and I felt like it was just so tough and I don't want to start another day. I just didn't enjoy my life. I didn't enjoy living in that place. And when my thoughts were so dark and I felt so alone, an amazing thing happened, which is interesting because I didn't know God at this time, but He knew me. He knew what I was going through, and He just counseled me, and He spoke to my heart. And I didn't hear it with my ears, but I heard loud and clear what God had to say to me that night. He said, you are too focused on the problem that you are experiencing today. So it's interesting to me that He didn't come out and comfort me right off the bat. He actually told me what I was doing wrong in the situation. Even though these teachers were giving me a hard time, God told me that I am also responding badly. I need to not focus on the situation that I was facing that day. And He said, it's like you forgot that you had problems in the past that felt just like this, very desperate, very difficult, but you overcame. And you don't care about those problems anymore because they are now in your past. And the Lord made me to understand this situation too will pass. And I realized how true that is. And I said, well, what should I do now? And the Lord let me know to look forward instead. And so He let me know that there's good things that are coming in my future. Life is not all bad, even though in the moment it may seem very difficult. Good times will come. You just have to wait for them and look forward to them. And that's what I did. So I went to sleep peacefully and happily, looking forward to a brighter future, which came later on.
I think that's amazing that God spoke to you. Like you said, like you didn't know God, but He knew you and He spoke to your heart in that moment. How long did you live at the orphanage? What age were you when this happened?
I went into the orphanage when I was about 4.5 years old, and I left that particular orphanage when I was 6 because it was time for me to go to school. But that second orphanage is actually it was just another orphanage, but it was the one where I could begin school.
Oh, okay. So tell us about that orphanage. So you got moved to another orphanage, then what?
Well, I was expecting same thing. But it wasn't the same kind of situation, even though it was under the same government in the same region. But it was a different situation because the leadership of this orphanage did not allow any kind of abuse. And so it was a happy place. Of course, we had lots of needs. The government sadly did not provide all of our needs. We were thankful for the teacher's kindness and patience with us. I remember we would go to take a shower only about twice a month. We didn't have hot water in this orphanage, so we had to walk across the city to a public bathhouse, which is like this big open room. Well, there are two sides, boys and girls sides. But when you go to your side, there's a big open room with a bunch of faucets where you can turn on hot or cold water and fill up this tub, and you could dunk it on your head to wash yourself or put your hair into it. So it wasn't really like a shower or a bath. I didn't have that until I came to America. So it was challenging at times, but it was a good place because they taught us how to have self-discipline and try hard at school. And they taught us to exercise and deal kindly with one another. There are lots of great things about the orphanage, but we had a lot of needs as well.
Yeah. I think that's hard for kids today to kind of imagine some things like that, and having to walk across the city to go take a bath. I bet that was cold, right?
A lot of times it was cold. Yeah.
So you were at this orphanage, you were going to school, and then will you tell us what it was like when you received a shoebox?
Oh, that was the highlight of my childhood. I was 10 years old at this time. And I'm used to living at the orphanage, and I basically stopped waiting for my parents to come and get me. And I realized I'm an orphan and this is my life. Although for a long time I hoped that they would come and get me, but they didn't. And one day it was just an ordinary school day, and we were told there's going to be some special event and that they want us to go to the gym. So I ran to the gym and I walked in and I saw this huge pile of boxes, and they were all stacked beautifully on top of one another. It was this huge pile. And I thought to myself, is that for us? But of course, that would have been too good to be true. I thought, I don't want to get too excited because what if it's not for us to take to our rooms? Well, we had some toys in the orphanage, but they were only allowed to be used in the playrooms. We could not take anything to our rooms because they were all shared toys. We didn't have any belongings of our own because you would have had to get that from somewhere. And we didn't have visitors. We didn't have anybody bringing us anything, even the local people. It's not part of the culture in my country to visit orphans. And so we were just completely shocked to see this huge pile of gifts. And this would have been the first time I received a gift in my life. And so it was super exciting, especially when they actually handed me the box. And I felt so rich because this was the most I ever had in my life. And I was told that this is yours. And this gift represents even a greater gift, which I thought this day could not get any better. First, they canceled classes. Then they gave me a gift. And then they're promising me something even far greater than that, which is the salvation that I have the opportunity to take because of what Jesus has done on the cross for me. So I took it all. I took the physical gift and I took the spiritual gift as well. So I received, like we like to say with Operation Christmas Child, the greatest gift of all.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love that. You know, I've had another recipient of a shoebox on my show before, and he talked about how when they walked into the room, how everything was just full of color and life. So what was that like when they were telling you the story of Jesus, when they were teaching you about the greatest gift? What was that like?
Well, it still rings in my ears to this day because of how profound the message is. And it answers so many of my deep questions that I had that were longing in my heart about my future and even about my past. So what I was told was, imagine this big black bag on your shoulders. And, you know, the person was hunching over and was saying, it's so heavy. Do you feel it? Do you feel the weight of it? In this bag are things that you have done wrong in the past, and the guilt, the shame you feel, you still carry it everywhere you go, even though the thing is over with, whatever you have done.
Mm-hmm.
And also things that people have done to you, and that hatred, that resentment, unforgiveness, you carry that in the bag too. And how about fear of the future? And so they said to examine yourself and check yourself. Do you feel the weight? And I did. And during that moment of reflection, I realized my bag is full of those things. And so I realized I have a problem. And they said, well, you know what you can do is give it over to Jesus. And for a second, to be honest, I thought, well, that would not be very nice to give my bag over to somebody else to carry. But as if they heard my thoughts and addressed that issue, that Jesus is not like the rest of us. He is the Son of God who came from heaven to earth, and he did not do anything wrong. And so he is able and he's willing to take our burdens. Everybody's around the whole world, from times before to now in the future. He can carry all of the weight. So when I realized that it's not too much for him and that he's willing to take it, he's able to take it, then I decided I would give that over to him as well. And so I actually felt lighter. I felt different when I prayed. And I felt, for the first time in my life, I felt secure that my past, my present, and my future is secure in the hands of God, who is able to take care of all of my problems, all of my mistakes, and that he still accepts me just the way I am. And I was so excited to have this relationship with God. I started to pray to him. And you know what God did? It was just incredible. He revealed himself to me in a unique way. We know God by many names, that he revealed himself throughout the Bible to different people. Well, the way he revealed himself to me, he said to me, I am the God of adoption. And he let me know that he's taking all of these children of the earth into his royal family. So I knew that I am now a child of God, and I don't have to worry about being alone ever again, no matter what happens to me. But as I continued to talk to him like that and address him as my father, as the God of adoption, he let me know that he has a plan for me to actually be adopted even here on earth, together with my sister, to the country of America. So the reason I'm here today talking to you is because God is faithful. He did exactly what he promised to me. Even though he said it in the quietness of my heart, I believed, and I waited for that day to come to reality, and it did. I remember the day that I was told that you are being adopted. And I knew that God is real and that I can trust him, whatever he says. And so the more that happened, it built my faith more and more and more with God. Every experience I had with him, where he spoke to me in my heart and I trusted him, waited for it to happen. And it always does happen because God, he is faithful. And so I am just so thankful for the way God worked in my life and for bringing me here, and now to being in a place where I could be part of this ministry of Operation Christmas Child, even on this side of the world, as the person who gives and not only as the person who received the box.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And I think so often people who grow up in church or hear often about God and about the gospel, we take those things for granted. So it's really incredible to hear someone's story of someone who's never heard that before, to experience the love of God in that moment. And I just think that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to go back to your box, because one of the things that we talk about a lot is sharing these shoe boxes, and we talk about the gift. What was in your Operation Christmas Child box?
Well, I can show you.
Oh, okay.
I kept some of the items from my box. So this right here is a very special notebook. This was the only notebook that I ever had as a child that I could call my own. The notebooks that the government provided, they were wonderful, of course, but they were meant for our school use, and we had to leave it in the classroom. But when I saw this notebook in my box, I felt like I had to report to my teacher and say, "Oh, I have a notebook. What do I do with it?" Because I've never had permission to write in my own notebook. And she said, "It's yours. Do whatever you want with it." And I thought, well, I don't know what I want to do with the notebook. What do I write in it? I only have but so many pages. So what should I put in those pages? So I went back to my room and I saw my friends who were also talking about the same thing. And somebody came up with an idea. They said, what if we give each other a page and let each other sign the notebook, and that way we'll remember each other forever. And so that's exactly what we did. And so today I have all of these fun drawings, and even if somebody found something on the ground, we'd stick it. And there's this top secret. Nobody open that, who likes who and whatever it is. And so this is so precious to me because it has my teachers and my friends' little signatures, and even a drawing that somebody did of me. The nurse downstairs drew this little portrait of me. So it's very precious. And also I have some hair clips that I'm very, very thankful for because I had long hair at the time, and so I had the chance to put something into my hair. You girls would appreciate that.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, really what I enjoyed, it was every item. I had soap that was lavender scent, and my whole box smelled like lavender. And to this day, when I smell lavender, it takes me back, to that moment. And so I'm just so thankful for each and every item. But I would say the children who were showing off because they felt like they had the best thing. Do you know what it is? What would you guess?
I would guess like a ball or something like that.
Well, you know what? It shocks people usually. It's a picture of the family with a note.
Wow.
Who packed the shoebox, because God made us to be people of relationship, and first of all with God, and second, of course, is with other human beings. And in the orphanage, we did not talk about our parents, our family, because there are a lot of negative things that associated with that. So we really didn't have anybody from the outside of the orphanage that we're connected to that we could talk about that was positive, until we got a shoebox and had a picture of a family that was nice and that we were proud of. And they said things like, "I'm praying for you. God loves you." And it's all positive things. Mm-hmm. And so children just love that connection, which of course I didn't have in my box, but I certainly enjoyed seeing other people's pictures to know, wow, this person is from such and such place, and this is what they look like, and they packed your shoebox. How incredible is that?
Yeah, I love doing that. So when I pack a box, I love to put a note in there and a picture. And we even did that with our church one time where it was a bunch of kids that packed the boxes. And so we took little pictures of each of the kids that packed the box, and they could write a note or draw a picture. So just that personal connection, I think I think that's so neat to know that that's so special to the people that receive the boxes.
Yeah, it is. And I've talked to lots of people who have gone to distribute shoeboxes. They all say same thing. And other children who have received boxes. So it's not only at the orphanage, it's in villages or, wherever the children receive the boxes. It's the top number one most loved item.
Yes. I love that. It's something that we've been doing for many years, and I love participating in it. I love hearing the stories. So I'm so thankful that you've come on to share your story and what the impact was in your life, not just the items you received, but also the spiritual impact and how God used that box to speak to you. What would you like to say to people that have made boxes already or are still thinking about doing it? What would you say to those people? We'll be right back after this. Raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
Well, we get to be part of what God is doing around the world. And so I think that's super exciting. And so this year, we are collecting our 200 millionth shoebox.
Wow.
And so your box could be the one. So this is the year to pack boxes. And it's so exciting because we're trying to fulfill the Great Commission so that we could join that royal family, all the rest of the children who have not yet joined, and we could go and have that eternity together with our Father and be united finally. So that's what we're striving and working towards. And so today is the day that the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it, and let us serve him well. So when we have the opportunity, let's take it, because we don't know. Today might be our last. So that's how I like to look at it. And I ask the Lord when I wake up, Lord, who do you want me to help today? What do you want me to do? Send me. Who do you want me to encourage? Mm-hmm. And so Operation Christmas Child is a great way that we can enjoy packing the boxes, but it also goes across the world and ministers to somebody that we can't even see.
Yes. Like you said, it's not just about what's in the box. It's about how it represents the love of God to someone else. And so just being a part of this ministry is so incredible. And I'm so thankful that you've come on today to share your story. I think it's so inspiring. And I hope lots of my listeners out there will be a part of this ministry. What about people that don't know if they could pack a box? Is there a way to do anything online? Can they give? Can they pack a shoebox online?
Oh, yes. There is a way that you can go on SamaritansPurse.org/OCC, and you can pack a shoebox online. It is so fun. My son, Peter, he's 5. We packed this year some shoeboxes online, and he kept saying, Mom, this is so fun. And they're great quality boxes with lots of fun items that you can select and drag down into the box. And you can include a picture and write a personal note as well. So it is a great, fun option. And I encourage anybody to do that for sure. And so there are lots of ways you can participate. Prayer. You can tell people about Operation Christmas Child, encourage them to pack a shoebox. And you know what? You can even download an app for your parents. And there is an app for children to learn more about Operation Christmas Child and play games. So there's a lot of ways that you can take part in Operation Christmas Child.
Yes, what an incredible ministry. Well, Irina, thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing and teaching us a little bit more about Operation Christmas Child. Before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests to share a memory from when they were a kid. You shared a lot today, but do you have another one you want to close out with?
Well, one of my precious memories is the day that I was walking down the street in my city, and I was just walking, and I just remember the way I felt. I don't know if you have memories like that where it's just a feeling that takes you back to, it was such peace, such joy. And I was just walking, knowing that God is with me and that all is well. Even though my situation, my circumstances were not well, I have not done well on the test, but I felt like all is well. I felt secure. And so I thank God for that peace. And today, that is what I really work towards. When something throws me off, something happens that just upsets me or frustrates me, I try to get back that peace in my heart, give that burden back over to the Lord, that even though he has taken care of my sin, I still take burden into my shoulders, and it's my job to give it over to Jesus every day. I try to keep my heart clean and have peace. And so that is one of my most precious memories, is when I first experienced that peace. And I have the opportunity to have that peace every day now, and it is awesome. So I hope that you also experience that kind of peace. because as children of God, it belongs to us. That's one thing that Satan cannot duplicate. He tries to make a copy of anything he can, but he cannot make a copy of peace. Only God can give us peace.
Yes, amen. Thank you so much for sharing that. Irina, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time, and may God richly bless you as you continue to serve him. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the children around the world who would be blessed because of this show today, and from all the children who packed shoeboxes after they heard this message. And God takes our little bit and he makes it fruitful and multiply. So may God do that in Jesus' name.
Amen. Wow, I love hearing stories like this. You know, the shoebox was the first gift that Irina had ever received. It was the highlight of her childhood, she said, to receive her shoebox of hair clips and notebooks, and most importantly, the greatest gift, the love of God through Jesus Christ. I love that she shared how God spoke to her heart even before she knew God or had a relationship with him. But you know what? He knew her just like he knows each and every one of us. Irina said that through the Shoebox ministry, she learned that we can give our mistakes, our problems, our struggles to Jesus. He is willing and able to carry our burdens. So true. And I loved learning the number one most loved item was a picture of the family in the box. So if you're packing a box, be sure to include a picture of you and your family and a note to the child. It really creates a connection, and the kids love receiving your picture. Operation Christmas Child was started in 1993, and this year they have a goal to have shared and distributed 200 million shoeboxes in that time. Isn't that amazing? Their plan is to distribute the 200 millionth shoebox in the country of Ukraine. I think that's so special. If you'd like to learn more about Operation Christmas Child, you can go to the website SamaritansPurse.org/OCC. And I will also have links on my Facebook and Instagram for you to build a shoebox online. Also, if you'd like to hear another incredible story of a life impacted by Operation Christmas Child, check out episode 52 of the Collide Kids podcast with my guest Vladimir Pronivsky, which I talked about a little bit in the episode. He shares his experience of receiving a shoebox. I also did an interview on episode 56 with Hannah Bolvey, who shares about the greatest journey, which is the other part of Operation Christmas Child, and how they share the love of Jesus with children around the world. Both are great episodes I think you will really enjoy. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So this is my friend Kate.
Hi, my name is Kate, and my favorite Bible verse is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
God so loved the world that he gave Jesus. Yes, great verse to share. Thank you so much, Kate. Well, if you'd like to be on the Collide Kids podcast and share your favorite Bible verse or a joke or a quote or a song, you can head over to my website, collidekidspodcast.com, and click the tab at the top that says Kids Only, or you can find information about how to send it to me through my social media. I'm on Facebook at the Collide Kids Podcast or on Instagram at Collide Kids Pod. You can follow me there to find more information about Operation Christmas Child, my goal page, and lots of other fun episodes and things coming up soon. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that by subscribing and following on your podcast app, and also leaving a rating and a review. When you do that, it really does help the show get more support and more listeners, and I love hearing from you guys and what you think about the show. You can also share this episode with friends and family and tell them why you like to listen, or you can go by my website and click the link at the top that says support. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you guys will help me by building a shoebox online. It is not too late. They are still putting those together, and shoeboxes are being distributed around the world. I think it's such a great thing to be a part of giving at Christmas time and sharing in this wonderful ministry. In case no one has told you today, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between, and all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.